Muhammad al-Attar. He is an accountant, activist, and YouTuber by the name of That Muslim Guy. He is a Palestinian Canadian and spends most of his time after work making comedy and educational videos about Islam, politics, and Palestine. Thank you for joining me, Muhammad.
Thank you very much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
So my first question for you, Muhammad. So we all know that you have a high presence on social media. So why do you think using social media is the best method to amplify Palestinian voices?
Well, that's a very good question. Thank you for asking that. The role of social media, mainly recently, it has played a huge role in exposing Israeli war crimes against Palestinians. Its role has been significant. So, previously, everything that Palestinians have been saying is happening to them in Palestine by the Israeli occupation forces. For most people living out in like Canada, the States, and Europe, all of that was just hearsay. The mainstream media wasn't covering it, so therefore, how true could it be? Then, through social media recently, like through Instagram and using Instagram Live and other social media platforms, these crimes were starting to be exposed in real time. So we were able to see home thefts and forced ethnic displacements, like in Sheikh Jarrah, being exposed by someone living in Sheikh Jarrah, by a Palestinian living there and actually live streaming it. We were able to see homes being bombed in Gaza, and those bombings were being live streamed as well. We were able to see settlers living in illegal Israeli settlements, abusing Palestinians, and being protected by Israeli occupation forces. All of this, it was being exposed using social media. Meanwhile, the mainstream media was completely silent. But then someone might ask, okay, but what about censorship? And yes, that is a good point, because countless pro-Palestinian accounts and pro-Palestine content was being removed and taken down from social media, from Facebook, from Instagram, while Israeli propaganda videos were left for the world to see. But yet, censorship wasn't enough to keep the world silent and uninformed. The news about what was happening to Palestinians in Palestine was still spreading like wildfire. The advantages of using social media to raise awareness about what was happening in Palestine are greater than the drawbacks from censorship. So I'll just say that one more time. The advantages of social media to raise awareness are greater than the drawbacks from censorship. So I believe that is a tool that we will continue to use to reclaim the narrative.
Do you think the language that Western media uses plays a big part in making people think that they have to pick a side in this so-called conflict?
Yes, very much so. And I think that is a very, very important question that we need to keep asking, and it's a point that we need to keep reiterating, and that is language matters. The language used by the mainstream media is inherently biased towards Israel. This can be something as subtle as the news reporting Israeli deaths as people killed, while Palestinian deaths as people who simply died, as if Palestinians just die out of thin air. These words hold significance, especially to an unaware audience who doesn't really know the facts and they're just taking it from the mainstream media. Those words hold significance. When Israel invaded Al-Aqsa Mosque, when they beat up protesters, when they shoot them, when they jail them, when they hold thousands of Palestinians in administrative detention without charge, when they kill Palestinians, the media remains silent. However, when Palestinians fight back, in any way, shape, or form, within their right under international law as an occupied people against an occupier, the media shouts at the top of their lungs, Hamas doesn't want peace, Palestinians don't want peace. And now suddenly, the pressure is somehow on Palestinians to want peace when they literally have no power. Then Israel breaks the ceasefires, not once, not twice, not thrice, not 5 times, but now they're at 9 or 10 times of breaking the ceasefire and still media silence. All of this biased coverage automatically gets people to pick a side rather than just report on the facts and let your audience make a decision based on those facts. So when you report in favor of Israel, withhold facts about their war crimes and about all the crimes that they commit against Palestinians, and on the other hand, you amplify everything Palestinians do as being an irrational people who don't want peace, then of course, this is the definition of leading people to pick a side, and that is the side of Israel and Zionism. However, I do believe this is slowly changing, and people are slowly starting to see the truth. The crimes that are being committed against Palestinians are getting out there. The mainstream media is losing its credibility, and more people are seeing the truth through social media, and they are seeing what's happening.
Unfortunately, everything you said about the media, the Western media, is true. I don't know if people here know both Muna and Muhammad al-Kurd. Those are two Instagram